because we know that Maurice Strong and others said, as well as Mr. Hansen and countless others, that they want a post-industrial world. And since Al Gore sold us NAFTA and GATT and the environmental rules so far, they've done a great job. England is being deindustrialized. The United States is completely falling apart. And hopefully we can reverse this before these saboteurs complete their job. Lord Monckton, thank you so much for spending time with us. Again, what's the best website to visit?
Yes, certainly, scienceandpublicpolicy.org. And just one little vignette to end. I showed the IPCC's latest bogus graph to a senior member of Congress in the House of Representatives just a couple of years ago. And he took one look at it and he said, "They can't have done that." I said, "They have." And he turned to his colleagues and he said, "Gentlemen, I think we've seen all we need to see." So now the Republicans have realized that this is nonsense scientifically, it is dangerous economically, and they, almost to a man, are now opposed to this nonsense. That is a very important change. So you do now have a choice in America that we don't have in Europe. You can vote Democrat and have more of this rubbish, or you can vote the other way and put a stop to it.
Well, you're right. All the Republican candidates, except for Newt Gingrich, are promoting it. I don't trust Mitt Romney because he supported it previously. And I'm not normally a lesser of two evils guy, but there's no doubt Al Gore giving waivers to General Electric for their power plants and shutting down the others. I mean, these are actual saboteurs. Lord Monckton, thank you so much for joining us.
And thank you, Alex. God bless America.
Thank you so much. There goes Lord Christopher Monckton. He is really the prime mover. When it comes to exposing this fraud. His information is absolutely essential. We're going to go to break and come back with the founder of Oath Keepers, Stewart Rhodes, with an update on Quartzsite, Arizona. It's been turned into a police state by the, quote, city officials who, quote, fired the mayor and police. And we're also going to look at the super Congress that's been set up to fleece the United States and more coming up on the other side with the conclusion of INFOWARS Nightly News with Stewart Rhodes. I'm Alex Jones.
The American dream. There's a reason they call it a dream. Who's there? Cock-a-doodle-doo, pal. No, 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 no! I don't have any more money! My job sucks right now, please! I'll have more money next month! You can't take my house!
Is that your signature?
It is a private bank owned by private stockholders. A private bank? Do not let the name Federal fool you. If I got this money from the bank, and the bank got it from the Federal Reserve dump trucks, where does the Federal Reserve get their money? They take our property away, just like Thomas Jefferson said they would. Those sons of bitches! It's the greatest theft in human history.
It's INFOWARS Nightly News. We are back. What an amazing interview with Lord Monckton. It is certainly a serious blow against tyranny that the Al Gore, George Soros global government carbon tax fraud is burning and in flames. The dragon's down, but it's not out. But if we continue to expose these criminal fraudsters, we're going to end up winning. We're winning the big battles, but we've got to keep the war against tyranny going. Now, somebody else who's having an incredible effect is Stewart Rhodes. He's a top of his class Yale law graduate, Army veteran paratrooper, of course, worked on Ron Paul's congressional office. And a few years ago, he founded Oath Keepers, and it's been demonized and attacked. All they say is, hey, we want military and police to follow their oath to protect and defend the Constitution and our republic, to be good guys. Because tyranny will come to your door in a uniform, but liberty also can be defended by a uniform, and so it's a sacred honor. But I tell you, he got criticized for bringing up checkpoints and gun confiscation and martial law during collapses a few years ago, I guess 3 years ago or so, when they founded Oath Keepers. Maybe it's been longer, time flies. And now, all that's mainstream news. Now that's a serious discussion that needs to happen. Because he's a veteran and a historian and a constitutional lawyer, he saw what was happening, as many of us did, and got out there with a much-needed message to police and military. So I want to talk about the Super Congress with him. I want to talk about Quartzsite and get an update there because they got a rally coming up and the bizarre activities. And this hype I keep hearing. And they've even had people on Fox News talk about a coup against Obama. A terrible idea. That would only be a police state pretext, only be used to crack down. Obama is a puppet. We need to abolish the Federal Reserve and restore the Republic and have the Congress take its power back from the president. The president is becoming a dictator, but not individually. The office is being given those powers by the offshore banks. So Obama could be sent to Pluto tomorrow, and like shark teeth, more puppets would roll into place. We don't want the low-level nobodies like Obama with all the parades and pomp and circumstance to make you think the buck stops with him. We want the people running the puppets, and we're identifying them here each and every night. With more on all these subjects is Stewart Rhodes of oathkeepers.org. Stewart, great to have you here with us tonight.
Good to go, Alex. Good to be here.
Well, you heard me throw out the gambit of issues. Take any one you want in order or bring something up that I didn't mention.
Well, I think you're dead on. The great danger, one of the great dangers is that in response to the chaos that's being created through the destruction of our currency, people will be tempted to look for a silver bullet. And the temptation will be to jump into the arms of a bunch of neocon generals, military-industrial complex CEOs. And that kind of chatter's been out there for a couple of years now. I get it a lot with Oath Keepers, people saying, well, you should march on D.C. and the military should go in there and kick them all out and take over. But there's no constitutional sanction whatsoever for that being done. And really, it'd be like the most diabolical way to get the American people to scrap the Constitution, would make them think that they must jump into a military coup to save themselves. And so we have to, warn against that, remind them that the actual answer is state nullification, as Madison and Jefferson pointed out way back in 1798 in the Kentucky and Virginia resolutions. That's the answer, is the states standing up. That's the constitutional remedy. Not jumping into.
And that's what the John Warner Defense Authorization Act in Bush and now Obama with the Governor's Council has done. If you read John Warner Defense Authorization, as you have, 2007, excuse me, they say this is for insurrection in the states. It can even remove governors, bring in generals. They understand that is the silver bullet put there by the founders. But it's not an easy silver bullet. We've got to take the states back to do that, but that is the remedy. So they're trying to head that off. They're trying to demonize it. They're trying to call it secession. But it's not secession, is it?
Well, no. Nullification is, as Thomas Woods points out in his book, nullification is actually the middle ground. It's the mild constitutional remedy before you leave the constitutional union. I mean, and the way to look at this is that they're destroying the union itself. But this is the way to correct it, and it's the constitutional method. It's the only constitutional method of correction. Anything else is destroying the Constitution. Whether it's letting the president do what he wants to do, letting Congress walk all over us, or jumping into the arms of a military coup to stop them, those are both destructive.
Stewart, I want you to elaborate as a constitutional lawyer and somebody who's worked in Congress on your view of the Super Congress. The way I read it a month or so ago when they put it into place, this republic is dying not with a bang but with a whimper. A 12-member council that originates spending and cutting bills, that's the power of the purse, is supposed to come out of individual House members and be debated. It bypasses that, and if the Congress doesn't go along with their recommendation, then the Super Committee's bill goes through. I mean, this is, in the 230-plus years, we've never seen this, not even under Lincoln. He just ignored Congress. This is a weird legalese lawyer way to act like Congress is still there, but it's been replaced with the 12 ring wraiths with Obama as the head of the Council of 13. Just unprecedented.
And it also gives to the president the authority to raise the debt limit on his own. That's something else it does that most folks aren't paying attention to. He can raise, at his own discretion, raise the debt limit, and all that Congress can do in reaction to it is to pass that legislation to stop it. But then he can just veto that legislation. So it puts Congress in the perverse posture of being the reactor and him the initiator of legislation himself.
So we have him launching wars in Libya and saying he doesn't need congressional approval openly. He has the UN for authority. Treason. And I want to ask you, in your view, if that isn't treason, what is? Then we have the power of the purse being transferred to the president. It's amazing.
Well, sure. They're putting this is the same process that Germany went through. You make it legal. The Nazis made everything they did legal. This is the same thing. They are destroying the fabric of the republic and putting as much power as possible into the hands of the executive branch. And you've got both. It's a bipartisan assault. You've got people, so-called Tea Party leaders like Alan West, unfortunately, guys like that. Everyone was all, yeah, they're great Tea Party people. They voted for this monstrosity. And what they voted for is the destruction of the principle of representative government. And they voted for an elected dictatorship. That's what this is setting up. The president can do what he wants. Congress is kind of like the ancient Roman Senate. He's become meaningless. Kind of the Senate has become a rubber stamp.
A ceremonial, vestigial thing. They don't get rid of it completely. They just let them debate it. But if they don't do what the emperor wants, well, the emperor does it regardless. And now that power's passed. That's what's so frightening about this is we're seeing incredibly historical, tyrannical things happening, and it's not even an issue. And then Ron Paul raises it, and the media says, look at the kook. I don't think a lot of these bureaucrats and minions and even corporate chiefs realize in every case in history, once you unloose unbridled power, then the most horrible of people go into that void, and it invariably degenerates into hell itself.
Yeah, they always believe they can control it, and they see themselves as being, part of the inner circle, and so they go along with the destruction. And Congressman Paul is correct, and frankly, I think that anybody in Congress who voted for that ridiculous bill should be kicked out on the curb. I don't care how much they're liked for any other reason. They should go because they don't understand the Constitution.
Let me ask you this: talking to the tens of thousands of Oath Keepers and your supporters out there. You had talked last time we spoke a few months ago that the awakening was accelerating. Has all this new, openly illegal behavior hastened an even faster awakening?
Yeah, I think it has. We got a phone call just the other day from a sergeant in Afghanistan, and he wanted to let us know that among all of his troops, they're all waking up, and quite a few of them are very much aware of the whole picture. Let's put it that way. He was, he asked us some pretty pointed questions. And we gave our responses, and he said, "Well, we agree. We see it the same way you do." And so I think the Libya fiasco has opened a lot of their eyes because here you've got a president who's not even claiming to be acting as the president of the United States and consulting Congress. Bush at least made noises about